Have you ever noticed that the most brilliant minds you know seem to vanish from social media, like ghosts in a digital world that never stops talking? It's almost as if intelligence and silence are dancing together in a waltz that most of us can't hear the music to. Today we're diving deep into why smart people post less on social media, and I promise you, by the end of this conversation, you'll look at your own scrolling habits in a completely different light. Think about it like this: imagine your mind as a pristine library, and every social media post as someone bursting through the doors with a megaphone. The librarian, representing your intelligent self, naturally wants to preserve the quiet sanctity of deep thought. This isn't about being antisocial or thinking you're better than others. It's about understanding how the most thoughtful people among us have learned to navigate a world that rewards noise over nuance. The first thing we need to understand is that intelligent people tend to have what psychologists call high metacognitive awareness. Basically, they think about their thinking. When they consider posting something, they don't just hit share like someone throwing a paper airplane into the wind. Instead, they pause and ask themselves a series of mental questions that most people skip entirely. Will this add value? Is this something I actually believe? Or am I just caught up in the moment? How will this be interpreted by different people in my network? It's like having an internal editor who's incredibly thorough, sometimes to the point where the moment passes and the post never happens. This isn't overthinking in a neurotic sense. It's conscious curation of their digital presence, because they understand that everything they share becomes a permanent part of their personal brand and legacy. Smart people also recognize something that many of us struggle with: the difference between having an opinion and having something meaningful to contribute. Think of social media like a massive dinner party where everyone's talking at once. Most people feel compelled to join every conversation, even when they don't have much to add, just to be part of the noise. But intelligent individuals are like those guests who listen more than they speak, who wait until they have something genuinely valuable to contribute before opening their mouths. They understand that quality always trumps quantity, and they'd rather be remembered for one profound insight than 100 forgettable observations. This selective sharing isn't about being elitist. It's about respecting both their own thoughts and their audience's time enough to only speak when they have something worth saying. There's also a fascinating psychological principle at play here called the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the more paralyzed we become in making decisions. Intelligent people are acutely aware of this, and social media presents them with infinite possibilities for engagement every single day. Should I comment on this political post? Should I share this inspirational quote? Should I upload this photo from my weekend? The sheer volume of choices, combined with their tendency to deeply consider the implications of each one, often leads to choice paralysis, where they end up choosing nothing at all. It's like standing in front of a massive buffet when you're not even hungry. Everything looks interesting, but nothing feels necessary, so you walk away empty-handed. Another crucial factor is that smart people have learned to recognize the psychological manipulation embedded in social media platforms. They understand that these apps are designed by teams of neuroscientists and behavioral economists whose job is to hack their attention and keep them scrolling for as long as possible. When you understand the game being played, it's harder to be an unwitting participant. It's like watching a magic show when you know how all the tricks work. The illusion loses its power over you. They see the dopamine loops, the variable reward schedules, the fear of missing out triggers, and instead of being unconsciously manipulated by these mechanisms, they make conscious choices about when and how to engage. Let me take a moment here to thank everyone who clicked on this video and decided to spend part of their day with us. In a world full of distractions, the fact that you're here, actively listening and thinking about these ideas, says something beautiful about who you are as a person. Your attention is the most valuable gift you can give, and I don't take it lightly. Smart people often have what researchers call high need for cognition. They genuinely enjoy thinking deeply about complex ideas and problems. Social media, with its emphasis on quick reactions and surface-level engagement, often feels intellectually unsatisfying to them. It's like being a gourmet chef who's asked to only make microwave meals. Technically, you could do it, but it goes against everything you find fulfilling about your craft. They prefer conversations that allow for nuance, complexity, and genuine exploration of ideas, which are nearly impossible to achieve in comment sections designed for rapid-fire exchanges. When they do engage online, they often migrate toward platforms and spaces that allow for longer-form content and more thoughtful dialogue. There's also the matter of intellectual humility, which tends to increase with genuine intelligence and education. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. This creates a natural hesitancy to make bold proclamations about complex topics, especially in public forums where nuance gets lost and statements can be easily taken out of context. It's like being a scientist who spends years studying a particular phenomenon. You become increasingly careful about making definitive statements because you understand the complexity and limitations of your own knowledge. Meanwhile, those with less expertise often feel more confident making sweeping generalizations because they haven't yet discovered the depth of their own ignorance. Smart people are also highly aware of something called context collapse, the way social media flattens all the different contexts of our lives into one public space. Your college friends, professional colleagues, family members, and casual acquaintances all see the same posts, but they bring completely different contexts and expectations to their interpretation. What might be funny to one group could be offensive to another. What's appropriate in one context might be career-damaging in another. Navigating this successfully requires either incredible skill or the wisdom to recognize that sometimes the best move is not to play at all. It's like trying to have one conversation that's simultaneously appropriate for a job interview, a family dinner, and a comedy club, nearly impossible without compromising something. The phenomenon of virtue signaling is something that particularly bothers many intelligent people. They can see through performative posts that are designed more to make the poster look good than to actually contribute to meaningful change or dialogue. They recognize the difference between genuine advocacy and social media theater, and they're reluctant to participate in what they see as hollow gestures. It's not that they don't care about important causes. Often they care deeply, but they prefer to take action in ways that create real impact rather than just social media visibility. They'd rather volunteer at a local charity than post about it, rather have difficult conversations in private than perform their values publicly. Time is another crucial factor that can't be ignored. Intelligent people often have rich, full lives offline. They're reading books, working on complex projects, engaging in meaningful hobbies, having deep conversations with friends and family. Social media starts to feel like empty calories when your life is already full of nutritious experiences. Why spend time crafting the perfect Instagram caption when you could be learning a new skill, working on a passion project, or having a face-to-face conversation with someone you care about? It's an opportunity cost calculation, and for many smart people, the costs of extensive social media engagement outweigh the benefits. There's also what psychologists call impression management fatigue. Constantly curating your online persona is exhausting, and intelligent people are often aware of just how much energy it takes to maintain a consistent, appealing digital presence. Every post requires decisions about how to present yourself, what aspects of your life to highlight, what image you're trying to project. It's like being on a job interview 24 hours a day. Eventually, you just want to go home and be yourself without worrying about how you're being perceived. The mental energy required for constant self-presentation is energy that could be used for more fulfilling pursuits. Smart people also tend to have longer time horizons when they think about their reputation and legacy. They understand that the internet is forever, and that the casual comment you make today might be screenshot and shared years from now in a completely different context. This isn't paranoia. It's prudent awareness of how digital permanence works. They've seen too many examples of people whose careers or relationships were damaged by thoughtless posts, and they choose to err on the side of caution. It's like choosing to walk carefully on ice rather than running at full speed. You might move slower, but you're much less likely to fall. The addictive nature of social media is something that intelligent people often recognize and actively resist. They understand that these platforms are designed to create dependency, and they value their mental freedom too much to become enslaved to the next notification or the next dopamine hit. They see how social media addiction affects attention span, deep thinking ability, and overall life satisfaction, and they make conscious choices to protect themselves from these effects. It's like being offered a drug that you know will make you feel good in the short term but damage your long-term health. The smart choice is obvious once you understand the trade-offs. Speaking of smart choices, if you're finding this conversation valuable, I'd love it if you could hit that like button. Not because some algorithm told me to ask you, but because your engagement helps this message reach other people who might need to hear it. Think of it like applauding after a good performance. It's a way to show appreciation and help the message spread to others who might benefit from these insights. Another fascinating aspect is that intelligent people often have what researchers call high internal locus of control. They believe that their happiness and success come primarily from their own actions and decisions rather than external validation. Social media, with its likes, comments, and shares, is fundamentally built on external validation. When you don't need other people's approval to feel good about yourself, the primary reward mechanism of social media loses much of its appeal. It's like being offered applause when you're already confident in your performance, nice to have, but not necessary for your sense of self-worth. The echo chamber effect is something that particularly concerns many thoughtful people. They understand that social media algorithms show you more of what you already agree with, creating increasingly polarized bubbles of confirmation bias. For someone who values intellectual growth and genuine understanding, this algorithmic narrowing of perspective is deeply troubling. They'd rather seek out diverse viewpoints and challenging ideas than be fed a steady diet of content that simply reinforces their existing beliefs. It's like choosing to read books that challenge your thinking rather than just consuming content that makes you feel smart and right all the time. Smart people also recognize the performative nature of much online discourse. They see how social media incentivizes extreme positions, inflammatory language, and oversimplified takes on complex issues because these generate more engagement. They understand that the most nuanced, thoughtful responses often get ignored while the most provocative ones go viral. This creates a dilemma. Do you compromise your intellectual integrity to play the engagement game? Or do you maintain your standards and accept that your voice might not be heard? Many choose the latter, preferring to have meaningful conversations in private rather than participate in public performance theater. The research on social media and mental health is something that can't be ignored either. Studies consistently show connections between heavy social media use and increased rates of anxiety, depression, and ADHD symptoms. Intelligent people, who tend to be voracious consumers of research and evidence-based information, are aware of these findings and factor them into their decisions about how much to engage with these platforms. They recognize that their mental health is more valuable than staying connected to every social trend or maintaining a constant online presence. It's a form of digital self-care that prioritizes long-term well-being over short-term social connection. There's also something to be said about the quality of relationships that smart people tend to prioritize. They often prefer deep, meaningful connections with a smaller number of people rather than surface-level interactions with hundreds of online acquaintances. Social media, while great for maintaining casual connections, isn't particularly effective at building the kind of profound relationships that intelligent people find most fulfilling. They'd rather invest their social energy in phone calls, face-to-face conversations, and shared experiences than in managing a large network of online connections that lack real depth or intimacy. The commodification of personal life is another factor that bothers many thoughtful people. Social media platforms profit from our personal information, our attention, and our social connections. Intelligent people often feel uncomfortable with this transaction, essentially trading their privacy and mental resources for access to a free service that's actually quite expensive in terms of what it costs you. They understand that if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, and they're reluctant to be willing participants in this exchange. It's like knowing that a restaurant is secretly recording your private conversations to sell to advertisers. Even if the food is free, many people would choose to eat elsewhere. Smart people also tend to have what psychologists call high need for autonomy. They value their independence and freedom to make their own choices. Social media platforms, with their algorithmic feeds and notification systems, represent a subtle form of external control over your attention and daily rhythm. When your phone buzzes with a notification, someone else has decided what deserves your immediate attention. For people who value autonomy, this constant external direction of their mental energy feels invasive and unwelcome. They prefer to choose for themselves when to engage with information and social connection rather than being at the mercy of app designers and algorithms. The paradox of connection is something that intelligent people often recognize. Social media promises to bring us closer together, but often leaves us feeling more isolated and misunderstood than before. The shallow nature of most online interactions can actually highlight the absence of genuine human connection rather than providing it. It's like being surrounded by people at a party where everyone is having surface-level conversations. You can feel lonely even in a crowd. Smart people often choose to invest their social energy in fewer, but more meaningful relationships rather than spreading themselves thin across hundreds of online connections. Finally, there's the simple matter of cognitive resources. Our brains have limited attention and processing power, and intelligent people are often engaged in demanding work, creative projects, or intellectual pursuits that require focused concentration. Social media, with its constant stream of information and stimulation, can be cognitively depleting. It's like trying to write a novel while someone is constantly interrupting you with random facts and opinions. Even if each individual interruption is harmless, the cumulative effect can be devastating to your ability to think deeply and create meaningful work. Understanding why smart people post less on social media isn't about judging anyone's choices or suggesting that everyone should abandon these platforms entirely. It's about recognizing that the most thoughtful people among us have made deliberate decisions about how they want to spend their mental energy and present themselves to the world. They've chosen depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and intentional connection over performative engagement. There's wisdom in their approach that we can all learn from, regardless of how we choose to engage with technology and social media in our own lives. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with something to think about. Your attention is precious, your thoughts are valuable, and your presence in this world matters more than any number of likes or shares could ever measure. If this discussion resonated with you and gave you a new perspective to consider, I'd be grateful if you'd share this video with someone who might benefit from hearing this message. And if you've made it this far with us, maybe drop the word mindful in the comments. Not because you have to, but because it captures something essential about the conscious choices we make in our digital age. There's another video appearing on your screen that explores similar themes about human psychology and our relationship with technology. And if you feel called to continue this journey of understanding together, I'd be honored to have you subscribe to Not What It Seems. Until next time, remember that the most profound conversations often happen in the quiet spaces between all the noise.